Okay, everyone, welcome to the Sunday Community Skirmish number 19. I am, of course, Brick Hardcastle, and with me today is Mr. Leetonator. Good day, sir.
Hello, I'm back here. I'm kind of playing Rob today, so expect Brick to do most of the talking, as I'm sure you guys prefer.
All right, fair enough. Well, yes, I do love the sound of my own voice, so it should be quite easy for me to do the bulk of the verbiage if need be. Well, everyone, first up on tap, we have the Riders versus the Glowwater Thralls.
We got the big boys playing off first here.
Oh yeah, you got Muhammad Ali and Joe Fraser here. I'd say
Who?
it's a boxer.
Oh,
Back in
right.
yay oldie times.
I'm sorry, I'm only 27 years old.
I'm only 28 years old.
Shit. Oh dear.
Anyway, so yes, he was another big boxer at the time. I'd say that Ryder's more like the Joe Fraser, maybe Glowwater Thralls, like the Muhammad Ali. They like to dodge and dive, shuck and jive, shake and move. Anyway,
There we go.
we have Imagine, who's taking the Mad Hatters versus the Praetorians right now. So check out.
No. That's actually no. Unfortunately, folks, Praetorians, the SBQR folks, did need to step out today. They got it. Mad Hatter's got an automatic buy.
Oh.
So.
Stupid Brick. Of course, Praetorians unfortunately had to withdraw.
It's okay.
Thank you, Leto, for being on the ball. So yes, if you want to watch the Tea Timers versus 404, hop on over to Tanya and Zemko's stream. And if you want to watch it in English, that Kanya and Zemko are doing the Russian version, then head over to Imagine stream. Am I right?
Yes, you are 100% accurate.
There we go.
You can find all of those streams over at robanddan.tv/live. robanddan.tv/live. All the streams are there. You can turn on the English version or the Russian version of games C and E today. The winner between Riders, Glowwater Thralls, and Tea Timers and 404 are going to play on that stream or that set of streams. Again, you have English and Russian options. This is going to be an exciting day today. Tanya's first day casting. First time in a while we've actually had a full Russian cast team available to us. So momentous day. But also, we have our stream. We're actually doing a stream ourselves.
Yes, of course. Let's not forget the stream we're on while we relentlessly cross-promote the shit out of Rob and Dan live. Yes, so I believe everyone is now aware of the full functionality. Gosh, just how far Guns of Icarus competitive play has come.
We're actually very, very excited. We are getting the last of the teams lined up for the R&D Invitational in November. Whoa, it's going to be a little crazy. Every major hitter's coming up for that. It's going to be so much fun.
All right.
Random side note. I'm sorry. I've been working pretty much all morning, just talking to people and getting things done coming up for the next few weeks. And it's
all right. Well, let's. Golly gosh. Have a lie down in a cold shower. Lie down in a cold shower.
Well, that's why I have you here to do the heavy lifting while I kind of. Ooh, okay. Breath time. Breathing.
All right. Well, getting on to the heavyweights casting wise. Here we have Dementio and Luosi piloting for the Rider team versus Scrimscraw and Fiasco Total on the Glowwater Thralls. It looks to me like we are going to have a Pyrrha Goldfish combination for the Glowwater Thralls.
I would trust that combination from the Glowwater Thralls. It's a solid combo, all things considered. I haven't looked at the loadouts yet. However, for the Riders, I don't trust those loadouts.
No, I don't either.
I don't either. I don't trust them. Not on Parrot and Rumble.
I believe they tried this double galleon last week in the finals against SPQR.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work then.
Nope.
Don't think it'll work now.
We'll see.
If I'm perfectly honest.
Lib ATK Luosi's piloting that one. Then Deicide with Daniel, aka Demencio.
Actually, let me just qualify that a little bit. Actually, this is a close range galleon on the Dare side. It's Gatling. It's got a flak and a carronade on the left side. Very interesting.
I've seen him use that harpoon on the back. I've seen him use that harpoon, and it can be pretty effective, actually.
I mean,
if people.
If they catch one of these close range ships, the Glowwater Thralls, in the short range broadside, yeah, I mean, Glowwater Thralls could be in quite a lot of trouble.
Here we go. Game is starting. We are getting into game number 1. Peryton Rumble is the map. It's a very tight map, a very close range map at times, but mid-range action does happen on it as well. You can sit a little high, look through the alleyways, these kind of canyons that the buildings form, and get some pretty good shots on people, but usually kind of devolves into a brawl most of the time.
Yes.
Or am I wrong?
Yes, indeed. Peryton Rumble often ends up like Friday night on the streets of Newcastle. It's ugly, it's dark, it's gritty, it's very violent.
Is that one of those crazy northern cities?
Yes, it is one of those crazy northern cities. Anyway, the first contender into this crazy northern city is the Deicide. It has a left side Gatling, heavy carronade, no, Gatling flak, sorry, and Watcher. Right side, double heavy carronade. Okay, and on the Lib ATK, we have a left side Hades, heavy flak, lumberjack, and right side heavy carronade and Watcher.
They're going for a double galleon.
Yes, they are.
What the crap? I don't get it. Okay.
Well, yes.
on the Glowwater Thrall side of things, the Delta Pug, a joke on Delta Jug, coming out for Scrimscraw. It is a Pyramidion with Gat Flamer front. I've actually flown this build before. What? He's using the Flamer Mark III. Scrim? This is my design.
This is copyright infringement.
This is copyright cake infringement.
This is litigation will be forthcoming.
This is a build I've flown a couple times by myself in the last few weeks. I actually flew a build similar to this, the Mark II, in the last SCS, and then designed this new build. Of course, he may not have ever seen that in the first place. So who knows?
Yes, I saw you flying last week.
It was terrible. It was bad.
Well, you won one game out of 3, which is not too bad.
I'm not going to be flying competitively again. I get too stressed out about it. But
who are you flying against again?
The Gents.
That not
Gents.
The Matt.
Oh no! Matt. It was the
Matt
Overwatch and Gents combo.
Oh yes, Gent Watch. That's right. Yeah,
right.
Well, Gent Watch. I mean, not too shabby winning one game against those guys. Definitely.
No. As we just a note though about how this ship functions, it actually is incredibly effective to brawl with, if only because that Gatling will continuously break armor and cause all sorts of problem for the engineers, while the Banshee starts digging into the hull and the Flamer is locking down multiple components. So it could be a very effective ship to fly. I'm eager to see if it does. Also, the Delta Hug, piloted by Fiasco Total, again making a joke on Delta Jug, a member of the Riders. The goldfish here is a blender fish with carronade and flare on it. Should be interesting. Again, piloted by Fiasco Total. Getting into the game here, both teams have begun jockeying for position.
Well, if they are jockeying for position, it's sort of blindfolded jockeying for position because they don't really seem to have an idea where each other are.
Ooh.
Flare's going down though.
Those came out from the Lib ATK there. Lib ATK using that back flare launcher to try to get some sight.
Delta Hug was briefly spotted there. Hades going down on the Delta Hug. The Delta Hug has been spotted. Looks like the Glowwater Thralls are trying for a classic flanking maneuver.
The Delta Hug is split up so far from the Delta Pug. I'm not sure I feel comfortable with this. That Pyramidion.
True to form for the Glowwater Thralls here. I mean, the advantage here, if the Glowwater Thralls can time this right, those Galleons will find it quite awkward to switch focus quickly if need be.
Mm-hmm. That is a very good point. Both Galleons are keeping as I pull the map up here, almost a centralized position on the map. They're very close to the upper center of the map, that building there in front of us marking the center. Lib ATK, is spotted. Delta Hug not moving in just yet. Both Glowwater Thrall ships playing very conservative so far, Brick.
You hear the shotgun there of the Delta Hug. Very, very long-range carronade shots, about as long range as you get, managing to take the Lib ATK's balloon down without even being spotted. Superb heavy carronade gunning there from the Delta Hug.
That's not easy to do. Delta Hug's gunner is probably Gino doing that. Meanwhile, the Delta Pug coming in with that Gat Flamer. There's some serious issues on the Dia side right now. They do have a couple fires to deal with. Chem sprays were looking pretty good, but armor break does happen, and they are going down.
Instantaneous switching of focus. Delta Pug disables the Dare side and then goes on to the Lib ATK to finish it off with health from the Delta Hug.
This is some pretty expert offensive flying coming out from Scrimscraw. That Gat and Flame are both doing a serious number on the Lib ATK as well. All engines are on fire.
He did just eat a Hwacha broadside there from the Dare side, but it didn't really do too much. Took out a few engines, but it hasn't stopped them from just wailing on the Lib ATK here. Delta Hug's got to get back in this engagement, though. It's in a slightly awkward position.
Mm-hmm. This is tough.
Bouncing off the scenery a bit there.
Yeah, those Galleons having a tough time keeping any altitude with that heavy carronade from the Delta Hug. Really doing a number on those balloons in quick succession. Lumberjack shots, though, on the Delta Hug. That balloon does go down.
It does go down indeed, and now Delta Hug starting to bump into the scenery, but the Delta Pug coming back in on the Lib 80. Oh, big Hwacha barrage on the Delta Hug, but the Delta Hug is one step ahead. Delta Hug knows where to take cover, and it has.
Lib ATK is down to nothing on Hull. If that armor goes down again, Hull will be gone. That extra damage will carry over, and I don't believe they would survive that.
Lib ATK just barely staying alive on a pixel of Hull health here as the Delta Hug comes back in to help finish the job. Focus fire on the Lib ATK. This could be all she wrote.
There it goes. Oh, unfortunately, Twitch seems to be having some issues, guys, on... unfortunately, Twitch servers seem to be having issues. We do apologize for that. There is, unfortunately, nothing we can do ourselves about that. It is on Twitch's end. Sorry if it's hard to watch. If it is, we'll submit a report to them, but that's all we can do. Hard
to watch. That sounds like we usually are. Sorry, a little bit of a Muppets reference there. Anyway, the Deicide getting flamed, descending towards the ground at a rapid pace. It looks like the Glowwater Thralls are just sort of almost picking with their food here.
Yeah, again, the Galleons having a very tough time with maneuvering and with keeping arcs up in these tight, very constricted canyons that these buildings form. I think part of it is the fact that Double Galleon simply doesn't have enough, I can't say survivability, but ability to succeed on its own. The Galleon is a great support ship.
I don't necessarily think the issue is survivability. I think the issue is maneuverability.
Yeah.
There we go. You can quote me on that. Anyway, I feel the two Galleons just caught in an extremely awkward position here. You see all these sort of cavernous areas and this sort of broken bridge. It made it very difficult for them to kind of turn and get any kind of good focus fire, whereas the Delta Pug and the Delta Hug could simply duck back into cover or rise up if they needed it.
Glowwater Thrall's making a very wise choice and not being incredibly aggressive in this situation until they need to be. They're staying low. They're staying inside these clouds. They are moving forward to try and get us around, pulling up the map here for just a second. Delta Hug definitely moving forward very quickly. But they're staying low, and they're trying to stay in cover as much as possible. Which is exactly what they need to do.
Well, I don't know, Leto. It looks like Delta Hug's kind of going Leroy Jenkins here. Delta Hug has spotted the Deicide, and the Lib ATK right next to Delta Hug. This could go catastrophically wrong for the Delta Hug, but the Delta Hug starts blending down the Deicide. Delta Pug trying to come back into assist. Lib ATK needs to get some fire on the Delta Hug. The Delta Hug is blending down the Deicide, even though they're fighting 2-on-1. The Lib ATK bounces against the scenery. Oh my god, how are the Glowwater Thralls turning a 2v1 scenario into a positive? It's not even 2v1 anymore. The Delta Pug comes back in.
I don't understand anymore. Delta Hug did lose its armor there, lost about half its hull to a very well-timed Watcher Burst from the Lib ATK, but Delta Pug is all over the Lib ATK at this point. Flamethrower is going to start locking down some of those components as they break stuff with the Gatling.
Oh, look at the Delta Hug using the Deicide as a shield. Most of those Hwatcher shots missing the Delta Hug. But Delta Hug has drifted in to the Hwatcher range of the Deicide and the Gatling. Delta Hug's in big trouble as it reverses. Back bounces into the wall. Delta Hug's about to go down.
They're on a sliver of hull left. You guys can see as we get close here. There is so little left there. Deicide, though. Oh, no. Did that harpoon hit?
I think it did.
No.
They've harpooned them a goldfish. They'll be eating goldfish tonight.
Oh,
they finish. What a finish.
Wow. Lib ATK in the meanwhile. Delta Pug is having fun with the Lib ATK. Gatting and flaming as it pleases, staying above the arcs of the Lib ATK, but at this point, Skirmscar is saying, you know what? I'm out, I'm done.
He's not having fun anymore. Now his best friend has left the party. He's left awkwardly tapping his foot in the corner.
He has lost his wingman temporarily.
He's lost his wingman indeed.
Looks like they're gonna be meeting up here in the southeast corner-ish. Oh, no, Delta Pugs turning pretty hard here towards the Rider team.
Yes, they have. I mean, the Glowwater Thralls might be hoping those two galleons will pursue and potentially put themselves in an awkward position.
Lib ATK is having some engine trouble here. Some fires were left over from the Delta Pug.
Now, generally, I would say a close-range galleon will probably want to a little more to fight defensively rather than offensively. They'll want you to charge right into their broadside for preference. Otherwise, if they're going in there themselves, they're going to waste time just turning their broadsides to face you.
I wouldn't necessarily consider the galleon to be a very offensive ship. It's good to sit it in a spot with its guns placed in the correct direction, so those heavy guns, as I said earlier, can fire in a specific direction. If you're trying to be aggressive with the galleon, you're automatically not pointing any guns at the ship you're trying to pursue.
We used to see Puppyfur make the best of a short-range galleon by kind of charging in with a ram to initiate through the clouds and then sort of turn into the into the broadside. But that's not something you can really rely on. In any event, the Delta Pug has been spotted. Delta Pug taking a peek and pulling back, realizing it is not.
I think he's realized it's not a good idea. A Delta Hug, oh dear, he's starting to engage though.
But however, Delta Hug has managed to, do that sort of long-range carronade. it's just sniping out those balloons at maximum possible range of that carronade. Very skillfully done.
It's strange because the heavy carronade, it has a decent range to it considering the fact it's a shotgun. Lib ATK getting flamed out by the Delta Pug. Fires are all over that ship. 4 different components on fire. Gatling is starting to grind it down. This is not the situation Lib ATK wanted to be in.
Not the kind of situation at all, and it looks like some of their chem sprays have gone down as the fire is starting to spread all through the Lib ATK.
Banshee fire as that armor was still down for a moment. Lib ATK is going on very little hull.
Ah, yes, very good use of trifecta on the part of the Pyramidion. You notice the Delta Pug turns slightly to the side so they can fire the Gatling, the Banshee, and the Flame all at the same time, taking it down.
That's another reason I really like both the Gatling and the Artemis in that first spot on the Delta Pug. I having flown this myself many times, it's so easy to get a trifecta on this ship. All you have to do is turn the nose a little to the right. It's very easy to do. Yes, the Banshee has one of the biggest turning arcs in the game.
Rocket Carousel is just perfect for those trifectas. Yes, now the Delta Hug has gone from using that carronade as a hunting shotgun to using it as a sawn-off, blasting away at short range at the deicide. And I think this could be all she wrote.
They're getting both carronades in on this. Delta Hug has that right carronade. They're also getting in on it. That barking dog in addition to the heavy.
Not only that, but Delta Hug's been making use of that side flare as well. The flare's got pretty good. I've seen a couple flares just fire off into the balloon. It's just absolutely glow water thralls, absolutely maximizing the potential of that goldfish.
I'm really impressed how Glowwater Thralls have used very serious quick ambush tactics, as well as separating out these galleons so they can't support themselves to get wins, to get kills.
What they've done on 2 occasions is the Delta Hug has initiated through the clouds by using a long range. Look at the Delta Hug right now, flipping hell. Gliding underneath that bridge. But as I said, they've initiated with that long range carronade with the heavy ammo loaded, and once they've managed to get a balloon down, then they come in and finish them off.
That's the crazy part about that heavy carronade. Again, it's actually got some decent range to it, but because people don't always load heavy clip into it, it just spreads out so much that you can't tell. But when you do load heavy clip into it, it does have some range to it.
It tightens the cone of fire, so to speak.
It essentially says, instead of shooting all these pellets out, I'm going to put a big deer slug kind of thing into it.
Yes. Ah, yes, indeed. And now the Live ATK and the deicide are, I'd say they're on the back foot right now.
I would agree. Delta Hug is going to rise up here. We're going to watch them. They're coming in on the deicide, popping that balloon just at a moment's notice.
Again, that long using the carronade, heavy carronade at max range to kind of pick it down.
That's it's expert use. Expert use. You only see that from truly experienced players. Great use of the heavy carronade. Delta Pug, in the meanwhile, getting its balloon popped, losing a lot of components, trying to go in on Lib ATK. Lib ATK is rather just jetting forward. They were dropping to try and stay out of the...
Lib ATK needs to stabilize. He needs to get a good Hwacha barrage into the Delta Pug. I'm not sure what the Lib ATK is doing. It looks like he's trying to support the deicide. Yes, he was attempting to save the deicide from the Delta Hug. He's managed to ward him off a bit, at least. And now Delta Pug's gone into the left side of the deicide. Now Delta Pug's in big trouble. Armor's down.
This is a very difficult situation for Delta Pug, especially since it's pinched between 2 different galleons. That's the thing about the galleon, really. When it can support, when it's not trying to just defend itself, it's an amazing ship. But when it's struggling to defend itself, you're not going to do that well. It's a very, very nasty struggle to try and defend yourself from an attacker.
Just great use of focus switching here from Delta Pug. As soon as it gets the deicide down, it switches right to the Lib ATK. He knows, he trusts his goldfish ally to finish the job.
Delta Pug facing that double carronade side. Looks like they didn't really eat it, though, compared to what damage could have happened. Lib ATK and Delta Pug are kind of dancing around each other. Scrimscraw and Luosi both trying to figure out exactly how to face one another. Delta Pug, because of its maneuverability, definitely getting the advantage here, but getting bounced around just a little bit. Not going to do enough damage, though.
Yes, indeed. And now the Delta Hug is just has got the deicide in a no-win scenario. It's hovering over its balloon, blasting it with that carronade. But Lib ATK is trying to assist, firing that Hwacha into the rear of the Delta Hug, but I don't know if it'll be enough to save the deicide. The deicide getting rammed, getting carronaded. However, the Delta Hug's balloon has gone down.
Delta Hug is right in the wheelhouse of the Deicide. Deicide is going to survive a ground out compared to a Goldfish in most situations, although Deicide is extremely low on hull. Delta Hug, though, is just eating it from those watches.
Delta Hug is between two galleon broadsides. It's not where you want to be at the best of times. Delta Hug trying to ascend. Oh, nice! Watches on the Delta Pug. Very nice. A lot of those hit, and the Delta Hug's got quite a few components to say. And now the Deicide ramming into the Delta Hug.
They're trying to keep the Deicide away from the Delta Pug while Delta Pug gets the kill on this galleon. Look at that.
But there we go. Some last gasp shots there. Watchers going on to the Delta Pug, disabling 2 engines, allowing a Lib ATK maybe to get some time to recover as the Delta Pug's pointed the wrong way.
You can see both these teams are struggling to make good on these loadouts and get these last kills. Glowwater Thrall is obviously fighting for that last kill that they need to get the win, and in this situation, with both of these galleons so low on hull, they're struggling to stay in this first game.
Lib ATK is in a good position, well, potentially in a good position, because he can switch his broadsides between the Delta Hug and the Delta Pug. However, Delta Pug's got back in with its flamethrower. Oh dear, it set a lot of fires. I think the Lib ATK is crippled. And that's the end of it.
Banshee getting the win there. Good lord. That was impressive.
There we go. A clinic on the Glowwater Thralls and how to use carronades and disably type builds and flanking.
I'm immensely impressed by how they used that that Gat Flamer Banshee. Pyramidion. That gives me warm fuzzies inside.
I see. Well,
I've been flying that.
It's not just the flamethrower that's making you feel warm inside.
Well, no, I've been flying that build all this week. That's my Mark III build. So it confirms that it's a decent idea. I fully admit I didn't actually come up with it.
Letinator, everyone, the mad professor of Goyo builds.
No. No, I don't think so. Anyhow.
All right. Okay. Let me rephrase that. Letinator, the normal professor, a normal professor of Goyo builds.
I'm fine with that. We are going to what? Canyon Ambush is going to be our next map. I do believe. Who is it that was remaking? I did not see. Mezu is the one loading up the next map, so we're gonna need to leave this lobby. Haunted in chat. It's a long story. It's a very long story. I would say don't worry about it, to be honest. We're gonna turn the game capture off here for just a moment so we can type in the super secret password.
Yes, the super secret password.
That no one will ever guess.
No one will ever guess.
Thank you for joining us here on twitch.tv/The Rob and Dan Show. Make sure you folks go over to robanddan.tv/live. See all the streams going on today for today's Sunday Community Skirmish. Oddly enough, this is not the only game happening. There are many games happening.
Yes.
Specifically 2.
Yes, we have a special Russian stream as well, hosted by Zemko and our very own Russian femme fatale, Tanya Vinole.
Is that how you pronounce her last name?
Well, it might not. Well, if it isn't, I'm sure I'm about to get bollocked. I'm about to get a mallet to the back of the head.
I'd never actually knew how to pronounce her last name, and I feel totally embarrassed about that because I talk to her all the time.
Yes, well, I mean, you might just be afraid to ask. I mean, as far as women go, Tanya is quite terrifying, and I'm just digging myself a deeper and deeper hole. So before I dig myself any deeper into the ground, before I go all the way to China, we have our second game of this series: the Riders versus the Glowwater Thralls.
Canyon Ambush is going to be an interesting map here. I can't say it's going to favor one of these two teams. because I think both teams play extremely well on this map, to be completely honest. Riders I've seen do some incredible things on Canyon Ambush, Glowwater Thralls as well.
I've seen the Riders countless times do some Canyon ambushes, believe it or not. Just overwhelming the lead ship in the enemy team with DPS as they pass through those narrow canyons. Just the positioning of the two Pyramidians they normally use, just very well suited. However, not two Pyramidians today. It looks like they're coming out with a weird mobula. Hades Artemis Flamer Carronade mobula. Very interesting. A mid-rangey kind of mobula there. I see. I see. I understand now.
I see what they're doing. Those Artemis on the wings, they're going to have easy arcs on anything the Hades is targeting as well. Artemis has pretty good turning arcs. Pretty darn good, in fact.
What you used to see from the Riders or the Crimson Sky Riders, whatever conglomerate they were part of at the time, was the LibGTK would be coming in with that gap mortar, and then the other Pyramidian would have a mid-range Hades Artemis. However, they must be thinking here, well, why have just Hades Artemis when you're going to have Hades Artemis Artemis? So
why not?
Why not? Why not indeed? Well, why is that it's more difficult to control range with the mobula. However, they're sacrificing range control for out medium range firepower.
That is a lot of firepower too coming out of the mobula. A lot.
As long as the LibGTK can just overwhelm the lead ship with DPS or just tank it until DPS has been done, then yes, it could pay off. And now the ticks have gone down. The match is starting on Canyon Ambush.
Canyon Ambush is the map, folks. The north and south of the map, very open, allows for some mid-range engagements to happen. You also have the center of the map, which is the canyons. Tight corridors, very constricted airspace. You tend to get a lot of ramming. You tend to get a lot of sandwiching, a lot of bouncing around. It can be very difficult to actively maneuver in these areas, which contributes to some very messy brawls. Always short range in those areas.
Right. Well, first up, we have the Fancy, piloted by Dementio. On the top deck, we have a Hades, we have Artemis on the wings, and we have a Flamer Carronade bottom deck. On the LibGTK, piloted by Luozi, we have a Gap Mortar front and a Carronade flare side.
Over on the Crowned Tyrant, piloted by Scrimscraw, the Pyramidian with Hades and Artemis on the front. Solid mid-range combination, although arming time may come into effect. We also have a Banshee and a Flare on the side. And we have the normal name, Fiasco Total's Goldfish, a blender fish with that carronade and the flare on the side.
You seem to be a touch of incredulity in your voice when you noticed the Crown Tyrant had a Hades Artemis.
You know, I'm not comfortable with Hades on this map anymore. I love the Hades, but I feel like there are better choices you can make for your weapon loadouts with it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, in terms of just raw damage potential, well, again, the Glowwater Thralls have nerfed themselves somewhat. However, I mean, the Hades, I don't feel it has the net disabling potential of that flamethrower.
To a certain extent, yeah. I do like the Goldfish on the Glowwater side of things. I think Blenderfish just works exceptionally well on Canyon Ambush.
It's just wondering how that Blenderfish and that Hades Art Pyramidian are going to synergize.
That's the big question. I think the Goldfish really needs to engage first. Let the Crown Tyrant do its thing. There isn't really any point for the Crown Tyrant to get in close, because then the Hades becomes next to useless.
Indeed.
Fancy, in the meanwhile, is going to cause some pretty serious mid-range issues for the Glowwater Thrall side of things. Those two Artemis, that disabling potential, it's definitely a cause for concern, because all of a sudden, if you lose that heavy carronade, or you lose the Hades, all of a sudden you have a very serious detriment to your ability to put out damage. Especially if that carronade goes down, because then all of a sudden the Mobula is just doing whatever it wants. It's had its balloon at full health. It's going up and down and dodging shots everywhere. It's very difficult.
More to the point, Fancy's pilot, Dementio, has Drogue Shoot equipped. He is perfectly happy to kind of just drift back a little bit and keep his rather devastating gun arcs on that Blenderfish. If the Blenderfish catches him from behind, though, then the Mobula is in a great deal of trouble.
Fancy and LibGTK, they're just sitting there. They're comfy with their positioning right now. Although if someone comes up behind the Fancy, I think trouble might be its middle name. Glowwater Thralls are beelining. They're just beelining for where the riders actually are. Don't see that too terribly often. Spots down on LibGTK and Fancy. Goldfish is revealing itself. Crown Tyrant is just a bit behind.
That the Blenderfish definitely wants to get the Fancy from behind. However, Fancy popping behind this rock, using it for cover, looks like he might be. But have they spotted them though? Is he?
I have no idea.
Fancy's not turning as fast as you'd expect as he would, like with a bloody Blenderfish behind him. And I don't think he spotted him until quite late in the day. And now the normal name is just carronading the Fancy down. The Fancy, but I think a lot of that carronade hit the hull though. The Fancy
was going entirely into the hull.
I know. And now the Tyrant coming in with a ram on the Fancy. The Fancy getting rammed. Oh, the Fancy rammed into the canyon.
What happened?
Holy crapola!
Normal name is trying to do a crazy Ivan on the LibGTK, going high and above and forward, but it's not happening. Rammed. LibGTK has the normal name right where they want him.
However, the Crown Tyrant has turned around. He's going to try and ram the LibGTK's arcs off. Nicely done by the Crown Tyrant. Scrim ramming the LibGTK's arcs off and saving the normal name.
Just barely, though. Normal name is only at about half hull.
And LibGTK's engines are gone, armor's gone, and I think that's all she wrote for the LibGTK.
Just about. They're grinding out one Artemis shot, and it was all over.
Do you think that just landing those carronade shots on the hull of the Mobula was intentional?
I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why it would be intentional.
Because, I mean, it contributed to the armor strip, and it contributed to the Crown Tyrant just coming in with the ram kill.
All things considered, though, the armor strip, it was only down about a fourth of its armor when that ram did happen.
Well, I mean... Yeah, I mean, so you think it was just a bit of a bungled shot then?
They might have been trying to get some extra armor strip going on the Fancy, but before they did that engagement, but it actually didn't contribute to much armor strip.
Maybe it was just they were trying to shoot out the guns, and the armor strip was just sort of in the spread.
Possibly, although I don't think a lot of mistakes are going to happen in this situation. That might have been panic fire, though.
Yeah, well, but well, let's not spend too much time on speculating as to.
We have tons of time for speculation at the moment here.
Fuck it, let's speculate all the live long day.
These two teams are essentially sitting back. Is there a pause now?
Yes. Is Obama secretly a communist? Well, God, if he is, he's a pretty rubbish one, isn't he?
We're not gonna talk about this.
Well, I thought we had all the time in the world to speculate.
You're right. We are waiting on one of the riders to disconnect, so a pause was requested, I think. You know if a pause was requested?
Oh, God, yeah, bloody hell. I don't think a pause was requested. I'm looking at the chat here, and I don't see any.
This was just a gentleman's agreement, then, between the two teams.
Oh, this was quite a while ago, though, if so. I think this was at the beginning of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that happened. Don't think that happened during the engagement. No, that happened before the engagement. So, there we go. No controversy, and we can go back to wildly speculating.
I have nothing to speculate on.
Very well. You're worried about litigation again, aren't you? After them ripping off your build earlier.
Oh, totally my build.
Right.
Totally my build.
I see. Okay. Well, you
I
don't...
actually, after doing a little bit of research, apparently I wasn't the first one to fly Artemis Flamer into a competitive match. This is actually shocking, to be completely honest, because I don't think anyone would be that stupid.
So you made a bogus claim then?
No. Apparently AWKM from Muse has flown Flamer Artemis before in events, and not just Flamer Artemis, but Gat Flamer.
Well, sounds like we've got some corruption and conflict of interest on the part of the casters here. Hashtag Guns of Icarus Gate, everyone.
This is a serious issue we're going to be very serious about.
Be fucking objective, Leto. God, you're such a crappy Guns of Icarus journalist.
I hate my life. Both teams are on the move.
Stop trying to push your agenda.
It's my story. I'm gonna push my agenda all I want.
Okay. Anyway,
it's my house. I'm gonna do what I want with my house. Yeah.
There we go. That's our professional journalistic response to any claims that we may face.
Anyway,
both teams. It looks like the Glowwater Thralls here are taking a wide stance. The Glowwater Thralls perhaps looking for one of their classic flanks, but they don't know where the other team is, so this may be rolling the dice a bit.
Looking at the map, I do like this maneuver. I can only expect that the Crown Tyrant will be used to draw them out, while the normal name comes in right behind.
Oh, here we go.
It depends upon the spot time for the normal name.
Oh, yes, normal name has caught the LibGTK with his pants down, coming in from behind as the Crown Tyrant fires on the Fancy, but Fancy hydros up, going high. Looks like he wants to support the LibGTK.
That was a really fast balloon pop. Pyramidian's not known for getting the balloon pop very quickly. Fancy, though, getting the Flamer Caro all over the normal name. Armor is down. They are hurting just a bit.
But the balloon goes down on the Fancy. We could see a sort of balloon pop disabled chain here from the Glowwater Thralls.
Fancy and LibGTK both backed into a bit of a corner here, although they do have Escape Route or two available to them.
Nice trifecta with the Banshee once again with the Crown Tyrant.
The Banshee is so wow.
Holy crap! The normal name just went down!
I think they bounced just a little bit on the top of the LibGTK, but Crown Tyrant getting ground down. Ouch.
What a turnaround. I mean, I thought the Glowwater Thralls were just in charge of that engagement.
I feel like the engage itself was good, but Riders played it very cool, very calm, simply stuck together, made it to a situation where there was simply too many components and too many hull to control at the same time. That Caronade and the Flamer on the Fancy did a really great job, and LibGTK with the killing potential was not locked down at all by any of those ships, either of those ships, which just then proceeded to kill off the Glowwater Thralls one by one.
It just feels like when you're using a blender fish, just the slightest little slip up, then all of a sudden, like, you're right in their DPS arcs, and you're getting overwhelmed, and there's very little you can do about it.
LibGTK coming right in on the Crown Tower, not pulling any punches. Fancy is right behind. Armor's already down, taking shots. They're gone.
Oh my goodness, there's classic Riders right there. The focus with the Hades art and the Gap Mortar just overwhelmed the Pyramidion before he knew it was going on.
That goldfish is in trouble now. A lot of trouble. What do you do as the goldfish?
Run!
With those two right behind you. Flared out. Oh dear. Riders have a clear spot on the goldfish.
Normal name playing a dangerous game here as the LibGTK comes in, strips the armor of the normal name. Should the normal name have stayed in this engagement? Has he overstayed his welcome? He's Mortar hits on the carronade. They've taken out they disabled the carronade as the
That
LibGTK comes in.
The Gatling is focusing primarily on that carronade and then focusing on making sure it's stripping hull constantly. Making sure the carronade is very important, but good lord.
Nice shooting by Delta Jug, using heavy ammo on that carronade to point disable. However, the Crown Tyrant is coming in on the side of the LibGTK. Crown Tyrant looks like he's trying to come in for a ram or something, but he goes over the top.
Looks like they had a little trouble using their balloon there. Fancy is really focusing down the Crown Tyrant. Balloon is hurting. Armor is just coming back up here. Hull is in deep trouble.
However, the Fancy did get blended down by the normal name. The LibGTK coming in on the normal name, going up high, anticipating the normal name going up, but going too high and not managing to get the finish on the normal name. I think maybe the heavy carronade sort of disabled a gun there or something. I'm not sure.
Entirely sure.
LibGTK
still has a gun out.
Yeah, the LibGTK's got his gun arcs on normal name once again. Not really many places the normal name can go at this stage. If he goes down, the LibGTK will just compensate. If he goes up, the LibGTK is already there. The normal name's armor stripped. A bit of permahull taken there. Normal name going down low, trying to duck underneath. But he's about to get into the arcs of the Fancy, though.
Fancy has that carronade and the flamer available to them. Flare going out, though. What?
Well, why not? If you got it, use it.
LibGTK getting eaten alive by the Crown Tyrant and the normal name. Heavy carronade did come back up there.
I mean, the Goldfish just duped and jived just as long as it could to allow the Crown Tyrant to come back in and finish off the Pyramidion.
That was ridiculous.
That was quite impressive. Just never underestimate the sort of the dodgeability and durability of that Goldfish.
The Goldfish, people don't always say, oh yeah, it can take a bit of damage. It can take a bit of damage. The Goldfish can take a bit of damage.
It can take a bit of damage, and it can duck and dive with the best of them as well.
Fancy.
Plus, very simple to engineer on.
Yes.
Not very simple to engineer on is a Fancy, is a Mobula that's getting wrecked with Hades and Artemis, as Fancy was there.
4-3 in favor of the Thralls. Thralls get one more kill, and they get the win. But, both ships are very low on permahull. Extremely low.
This has been quite the series right here. I mean, the Glowwater Thralls have definitely been in the driver's seat. I mean, just feeling the first game of the series, sort of Riders bringing out that, I venture to say, experimental double galleon, and now kind of bringing out the Pyrrha Mobula. I mean, a bit more conventional, a bit more true to their style, but still a bit weird, I'd say.
Well, this loadout, the loadouts that they have right now are much more true to life. I
feel the Glowwater Thralls, I mean, are just much more in their kind of disable-y, flanky wheelhouse right now. Riders have been...
Oh, look at this engagement happening. Glowwater Thralls getting a little bit of an ambush here on the Riders, but Riders doing a great job on the normal name.
Oh, the LibGTK slam dunked the Fancy down, accidentally bouncing his own teammate down, knocking him out of the arcs of the normal name as the Crown Tyrant comes in on the Fancy. Fancy's armor's down.
Oh, Fancy in deep trouble here. Crown Tyrant doing a serious number with that Banshee. About half hull on the Fancy. If normal name can just survive and keep the LibGTK occupied, Crown Tyrant will finish the Fancy. There they go! Thralls get the win.
Very impressive by the Glowwater Thralls, but I can't help but feel just that slight misstep by the LibGTK bouncing the Mobula down as the engagement begun. Gave the Thralls the ultimate advantage.
I agree 100%. The Mobula, if it could stay in the air, would have had the ability to duck and dive and use its ability to move vertically to its advantage. Because it got knocked down early on there, they weren't able to do that.
Well, at this high level of play between these high-level teams, the slightest mistake can be your undoing. And anyway, yes, the Glowed